Hey, this is Howard with New Life House, and today I want to talk about something that's all over the news, that's on a lot of people's minds, and it's heroin addiction. It's unfortunate because heroin addiction is no longer something that's limited or relegated to a specific demographic, but it's in all of our communities. It's everywhere. It affects you regardless of what the age is, what the gender is, what the socioeconomic status is. And so we find it being something that's put out on the media a lot lately. And how do you get someone that's 17, 18, 19 years old from a good family coming up with a heroin addiction, right? How do you find someone that has no exposure, no history of abuse or trauma? And those things certainly do exist in addiction, but we're finding a lot of people that are fully addicted to things like heroin without any of that coming in the background. Well, it's interesting because if you look at society today and the pressures and the things that are being placed onto people as we're growing up, we live in a digital age. We're highly connected to things around us, and so we have a much more increased level of pressure and stress and expectation surrounding us at all times. It used to be that you compared yourself to the kids in your school, to the people in your neighborhood, and that was where it stopped. But now with social media, now with the internet, it's a constant game of who's better than me? How can I measure up to that? Am I going to get into this college? And so there's a lot more pressure placed on youth and young people nowadays that can lead to people reaching out to drugs to solve the problem. So how does that progression actually start? Well, a lot of the time heroin addiction, it doesn't start on the street. You know, it can start in very simple ways with someone, let's say they take a Xanax, right? They want to de-stress, they want to relax a little bit, so they begin taking Xanax or another prescription drug. Really easy to get inside of high schools. Many kids have prescriptions to them. You'd be surprised the number of kids that are 16 years old that have legitimately prescribed Xanax, and they start passing the pills around to each other. It's socially acceptable because you're not buying it on the street. Kids don't look down on it, and so that's where it begins. And really quickly from that point, someone finds that in order to keep that habit up, they need to keep the supply going. So unfortunately, that progression takes place really quickly, and as someone starts going through the pills, they find out that the person they are getting their pills from is not as easily accessible as before, and so they turn to the street. Well, when you're using prescription opiates, you come to find that prescription opiates on the street are a lot more expensive than heroin. And so someone that was buying OxyContin or Percocet or something else of that nature on the street eventually reaches a point where they're paying a lot of money per pill, and ultimately they realize that they can buy with a lot less money an amount of heroin that'll get them higher a lot quicker. And so now you have someone that started out as a regular person, a regular kid, a regular high schooler that became attracted to heroin because of the natural progression of the disease of addiction, and now they're strung out on heroin. And unfortunately, it's happening all around us, and it's a lot more common than you think. And especially working in recovery and having the pleasure of working with lots of addicts, we see that a number of people follow that progression and end up shooting heroin.